So in this video, we'll be doing the color mod of a Casio wristwatch. You can see I did it already with this Casio A158W, and now I want to do it with the A158W. It's a very simple process. You just have to know how to do a couple things, and you have to figure out the supplies, which isn't immediately obvious, but it's really affordable and it just takes a few minutes. And once you know how to do it, it's really simple to repeat. So again, the process is really similar for the A158W. You've done that before, or if you've taken one of those apart, but we'll be focused on the A158W or A158WA, whatever you want to call it. As far as supplies go, it's really simple. You will need a screwdriver. I'll be using a PH0. You could use a PH00. That's just a Phillips head that is quite tiny. You want it to be in good shape. I'd recommend some sort of tweezers. These are just standard, $2 tweezers. The more specialized piece is you'll want some sort of gel. It's like something has to add the color. And that is going to be some sort of thin piece of plastic or something that is able to get in between the readout of the watch and the crystal or the glass or whatever you want to call it, the face of it. So again, these Roscoe Lux color gels are really nice. You could buy this sampler pack, and this is like obviously, very many colors in a full range. And I think it costs about 10 bucks. You'll get hit with shipping. And if you don't want to buy the big pack like this, you can go ahead and buy single sheets of this stuff for about $5 on Etsy. That's it for the supplies. And now let's just jump into the process. I'm not like a watch expert, so I'm sure some people will be cringing at some of this. Keeping in mind this watch costs about $18 or maybe $20, that will keep the effort in scope with that. Okay, so now we're just gonna take the back off of the watch. Obviously, be really careful with all your little screws and stuff like that. It's very easy to lose these and very hard to replace them. Now you want to take the back plate off. It should just pop off with your finger. Here's what we have there. And basically now what you want to do is take off this rubber gasket piece without tearing it. You could just sort of peel it up. Now you want to get this piece over here, this sort of circle in the inside, that's the watch itself, and you want to take that out of the case. This process is a little bit trickier, but it's not hard. You just want to grab the watch in some place where you're not going to damage it. Usually around the buttons is easiest, because there's a little gap right there. You just don't want to mess up a little spring on the button. So I'd say watch me do it, and then attempt it for yourself. So it's very simple. Try not to touch anything that's going to leave a fingerprint. I think that's the easiest way to mess this up. You start getting fingerprints all over and it's going to look messy. So we'll put that off to the side. You can take this piece apart here and get the gel in more securely. But honestly, with this one right here, I didn't do that, and it looks, to my eyes, really good. So I'm just going to do it the simple way. I'm sure there's a different way to do it that maybe is better, but let's just keep this one simple for now. This kit has a huge range of colors, and the biggest thing I would avoid is something that's too dark, because you're just gonna lose some of the visibility there. I'm gonna go with a light green, and we'll see how that pops. Ideally, the color is going to look good, it's gonna look unique, and it's gonna aid in the overall visibility or the legibility. And now you want to be really careful that you don't get any fingerprints on these. This is when I would recommend using the tweezers, and you only need a little tiny bit of it. It's way more than we need, so I'll set some of this aside for the next watch. Okay, the next step is going to be cutting that gel down to size. It's pretty easy to do if you do some trial and error, and you just shave it off, little pieces like this at a time. There'll be some waste, but eventually you'll get it down to the right size. And keep in mind there is a black border around the edge of the visible area. So you want to get it in between, like the size that is small enough to get in this metal area, but large enough that it's covering the clear area. So you have a little bit of buffer which is that black area where you want to go over into that black area and use that buffer so it's nice and stable here. Once it's in the right size, now all you have to do is sort of get it in place, and you want to do that without scratching anything, and ideally without using your fingers to touch it, which you could leave, or you definitely will leave fingerprints. Okay, eventually you'll drop it in and it'll be right there. Again, you can see it's at a little angle at the top, but it doesn't matter because that's hidden by the border, so we're all good. If you're feeling a little bit daring, you can turn it over now, and it will stick, and it won't just fall out. It will adhere to the glass, and you get an idea for that color. In this case, the green is pretty subtle, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Now you want to get the watch piece itself and put it back where it needs to be. Just make sure you line it up the right way. In this case, we have the 2 buttons here on the right, and we have the 2 buttons here on the right. And you want to just sort of put it down pretty gently and just sort of slide it. You just want to be careful of the buttons in particular. Okay, so that's in place, and usually if you kind of go in at an angle with that 2-button side and start to push it down, being careful that the spring on the left is not getting in the way, then you should have a very easy process getting this back in place. Now you have this little gasket. This goes back, and the most important thing is just trying to get the shape in place. But as long as you could sort of get a corner in and start to push that corner down. Again, this is a little easier when it's on the ground. I just want to give you a good view of it. So just go around and check all around, give it a gentle press. You don't have to apply a ton of pressure. You just want to make sure it's lined up with the sort of groove. The pressure will come from the back plate getting installed again. You want to make sure the back plate is in the correct direction, and that is with the Casio word being legible if you were to flip the watch over while wearing it. Now you want to put these down. Just put it gentle at first, and we'll just go in a nice X pattern. Okay, lastly, you want to go around to the 4 screws and give them a nice tighten. Don't overdo it. You can easily strip these. Okay, now we have a color modded Casio A158W. You can see it right there. Here it is next to the F91W, and you're all set. It'll be easy enough now to enjoy this color, or to go back and then change the color for something brighter if you'd like. But so far I'm enjoying this green. We'll see how it goes out in the daylight. Thanks for watching.